Welcome to today's deep dive where we explore the hidden treasures of numismatics, the fascinating world of coins that at first glance appear ordinary but upon closer inspection reveal stories, mistakes, and errors that elevate them from everyday change to life-changing fortunes. And in this discussion we will focus on the 1993 D1-cent coin, a small copper-plated zinc penny minted in Denver that in some rare cases has been reported to command values up to $7 million because of a combination of striking errors, die mistakes, and rarity factors that make it one of the most desirable collectibles in modern U.S. coinage. And while most 1993 D pennies are worth only face value, the outliers with unique flaws and production mishaps can transform a humble cent into an object of intense bidding wars among collectors. So as we move through this narrative we will unpack the historical background of the 1993 D cent, the minting process that allowed such rare errors to slip through, the specific mistakes that elevate its price to astronomical levels, and the possibilities that make this coin so valuable in the eyes of numismatists and investors alike, because the magic of coin collecting often lies in the unexpected, the anomaly that breaks routine, and the 1993 D cent is a shining example of how imperfection can bring perfection in value. Southwest first we must place ourselves in 1993, a year when the U.S. Mint in Denver was producing billions of pennies with the copper-plated zinc composition that had been introduced in 1982, each coin bearing Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, yet hidden within those billions are coins that deviated from the standard due to double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, repunched mint marks, die cracks, die clashes, planchet errors, and even transitional or experimental mistakes that accidentally reached circulation, and collectors searching for these coins discovered that some were so rare and so visually dramatic that they captured the attention of the hobby worldwide, with auction houses reporting intense competition and soaring hammer prices, because while ordinary pennies are abundant, error pennies combine rarity with uniqueness, no two being exactly the same, and that uniqueness drives up both demand and price. So when discussing the possibility of a 1993 D penny being worth $7 million, we must understand that the value is not for every coin minted that year but for extraordinary examples where multiple factors align, such as a dramatic double die obverse that makes Lincoln's profile or inscriptions like Liberty and I in God We Trust appear doubled to the naked eye, or a double die reverse where the columns of the Lincoln Memorial look ghosted and duplicated, and when such doubling is strong and unmistakable, collectors are willing to pay fortunes, especially if the coin is also in high-grade condition, perhaps uncirculated or even with a brilliant luster preserved from minting. And another type of error that elevates the 1993 D penny is the off-center strike where the die fails to strike the planchet in alignment, leaving part of the design missing and part of the blank planchet exposed, and when this off-center strike is dramatic but still shows the date and mint mark, it becomes a prized collectible, with more extreme off-centers sometimes reaching astronomical sums, and when you combine a severe off-center strike with additional errors such as a clip planchet or broad strike, the rarity multiplies exponentially. And then there are repunched mint marks where the D was stamped more than once in slightly different positions, creating a doubling effect on the mint mark itself, a subtle error that fascinates collectors of the Lincoln cent series and which, in pristine condition, can make even a minor variation worth thousands. But when combined with other major errors the values skyrocket, and let us not overlook die cracks, those raised lines on the coin where the die itself fractured during striking, creating a unique pattern across the coin's surface, sometimes resembling lightning bolts or even extra features on Lincoln's face or the memorial, nicknamed by collectors with colorful terms that add to their appeal, and die clashes where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them, leaving ghostly impressions of one side imprinted onto the other, producing a bizarre and striking visual anomaly that collectors love. And perhaps one of the most sensational error types for the 1993 D penny is the possibility of a mule error where an obverse die from one denomination was accidentally paired with a reverse die of another, creating a hybrid coin that should not exist. And while mule errors are exceedingly rare, the possibility that a 1993 D cent with such a mismatch slipped into circulation is part of what drives speculation and high valuation. And beyond the die and striking errors we also have planchet mistakes where a blank intended for another denomination such as a dime or foreign coin was struck with the cent design, producing a coin of incorrect weight, color, and size that is instantly recognized as extraordinary. And transitional errors are also in the realm of possibility where an old composition planchet or experimental alloy was accidentally used, leading to coins that weigh differently from the standard 2.5 grams of a zinc penny and which testing reveals to contain copper-rich or experimental mixtures, making them unique historical artifacts from the mint. and all of these errors combine to create a spectrum of possibilities where the right combination of mistakes on a single 1993 cent could indeed justify multimillion-dollar valuations, because in the world of rare coins, rarity plus demand equals value, and the demand for Lincoln cents, especially error varieties, has always been extremely strong, with entire clubs, publications, and websites dedicated to documenting every known variety, which means any discovery of a new, spectacular error instantly attracts worldwide attention. And we must also consider the role of condition and grading, because a coin with dramatic errors but worn from circulation may still be valuable but not at the highest levels, while an error coin that is crisp, with full luster, no scratches, and possibly certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, can command staggering prices, and auction records show time and again that when error coins are in superb condition, collectors are willing to battle for ownership, driving bids into the millions. So when we hear that a 1993 1 cent has reached $7 million, it reflects not only the inherent rarity of its error but also the intense competition among collectors who know that such coins represent once-in-a-lifetime opportunities, and this brings us to the psychological factor of value in collectibles, because beyond the metal content or face value lies the human desire to own something unique, something no one else has, and that desire drives up prices beyond logical measures, creating stories like the 1993 cent becoming a $7 million penny, and part of its legend is the mystery of how many such coins exist, whether only one spectacular specimen has been verified or whether others remain undiscovered in drawers, jars, and old change, waiting for sharp-eyed collectors to find them. And this possibility is what keeps the hunt alive, motivating treasure seekers to examine every coin, every roll of pennies, every inherited collection, because any ordinary-looking cent could be the next multimillion-dollar discovery, and the 1993 penny embodies this dream, a dream where a 1-cent coin becomes a key to wealth, fame, and a place in numismatic history. And as we continue examining the nature of its errors, we must acknowledge that some are dramatic enough to be visible without magnification, while others require detailed inspection under magnifiers or microscopes, and yet both kinds are valued because even subtle repunched mint marks can be rare, and dramatic off-centers or double dies can be showstoppers, and this wide range of error types ensures that there is something for every level of collector, from beginners thrilled to find a minor variety to advanced investors competing for the million-dollar specimens, and the 1993 penny serves as a perfect case study in how mistakes can create value, how flaws transform into treasures, and how the smallest coin can carry the largest stories. And when reflecting on this coin, we must also consider the broader history of error coins, from the famous 1955 double-die Lincoln cent to the 1943 copper cent, each commanding huge prices because of their rarity and visibility. And the 1993 penny joins this lineage of legendary mistakes, cementing its place in the pantheon of U.S. coinage history. So whether it is a dramatic mistrike, a die clash ghosting Lincoln's image onto the reverse, a broad-struck penny with no rim, or a mule error combining designs that should never coexist, each possibility adds another layer to the story of why a 1993 cent could cost $7 million, and when collectors hear these stories they are drawn deeper into the world of numismatics, searching for that next great find. And so in conclusion, the 1993 1 cent is more than just a small coin, it is a window into the unpredictable artistry of the minting process, a symbol of how human error and mechanical imperfection can produce accidental masterpieces, and a reminder that hidden in our pockets, jars, and collections may be treasures of unimaginable worth, so keep looking closely at your change. Next, today's deep exploration, where we uncover the fascinating story behind the 2002 1-cent coin that has taken the numismatic world by surprise because of its astonishing errors and mistakes, making it a rare piece valued at over $2 million, and in this discussion we will go into great detail about why this ordinary-looking penny has reached extraordinary heights in worth, how collectors analyze it, what types of minting errors and possibilities make it so valuable, and why these small variations can turn pocket change into life-changing money. And as we move through this story, you will begin to realize that every coin in circulation carries its own hidden journey, and the 2002 1 cent is an example of how imperfection can create perfection in terms of collectability, rarity, and historic importance. So let us begin by setting the stage, because the Lincoln cent, first issued in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, has always been one of the most produced and circulated coins in the United States, and by 2002 billions of them had been minted at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, which normally means that any coin from such a year would be worth no more than its face value unless something unusual occurred. And what makes the 2002 cent so special is precisely that in a sea of ordinary coins a handful emerged with dramatic minting errors and anomalies that collectors crave, because error coins are not supposed to leave the mint. Yet they occasionally slip through, and when they do they become treasures, and one of the primary categories of errors that gives the 2002 cent its multi-million-dollar status is the double die, where the die that strikes the coin has been improperly manufactured and produces a doubling effect on inscriptions or images, and in the case of the 2002 cent some specimens display doubling on the date, on the motto, "In God We Trust," and on Lincoln's profile itself, which means that the coin visually reveals a doubling that is undeniable even to the naked eye, and when combined with high-grade condition this makes the coin an extraordinary rarity. But that is only the beginning, because other examples have been found with dramatic off-center strikes where the coin is not aligned properly in the press and the image appears shifted, leaving part of the planchet blank. And collectors place huge value on these, especially if the date remains visible, because the presence of the year 2002 clearly authenticates the piece and ties it to a limited production anomaly. And then there are broad strike errors where the collar die fails and the metal spreads beyond its usual boundaries, creating a wider, thinner cent that instantly stands out from ordinary coins. And then we must consider clipped planchet errors where part of the coin blank was accidentally cut improperly at the mint, leaving a curved or straight missing section on the edge. And in 2002 there are known examples of such clipped planchets which amplify the desirability of the coin. And still beyond these visible striking and planchet errors there are also wrong planchet strikes where a Lincoln cent design is mistakenly struck on the metal blank of another denomination, for example a dime or a foreign coin blank, and when such mismatched metal pieces are discovered their rarity skyrockets. And a few 2002 1 cents exist on dime planchets, giving them a lighter weight and silvery appearance while still carrying Lincoln's image. And these spectacular errors are what drive auction houses to feature such coins with estimates in the millions. And then there are transitional errors to consider, because in 1982 the US Mint shifted from copper-based cents to copper-plated zinc cents, and while by 2002 all production was supposed to be zinc-based with copper coating, occasionally experimental or leftover copper alloy planchets entered circulation, and any genuine 2002 cent struck on a pure copper planchet would be an unprecedented rarity, which explains why numismatists speculate that one or two surviving specimens of this nature could be worth $2 million or more, because it would represent not just a mint error but a transitional blunder echoing back to earlier compositions. And in the world of coin collecting, rarity plus demand equals value, and these 2002 errors embody both. And as we think about how these mistakes happen, it is important to understand that the minting process is a highly mechanized and repetitive system, yet despite rigorous quality control errors still slip through due to die fatigue, human oversight, or mechanical malfunction. And when billions of coins are struck, even a 1 in a billion mistake will exist in a handful of specimens, and those are precisely the pieces that collectors and investors pursue, because unlike mass-produced coins these anomalies have character, identity, and story. And beyond the doubling, off-centers, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and wrong planchets, there are also lesser but still significant errors like die cracks, cuds, and filled die strikes, where parts of the design are obscured because the die had debris or grease clogging the details. And although these may not reach multi-million-dollar levels individually, if combined with other striking anomalies on a 2002 cent, the cumulative rarity could elevate its value enormously. And imagine a coin that not only has a strong double die but also a misaligned strike and a partial clip. Such a combination would be unprecedented and instantly attract intense bidding wars among collectors, and this is exactly why the 2002 cent has generated such buzz in the numismatic community, because it demonstrates how multiple layers of error possibilities converge on one year. And for those who wonder why collectors are willing to pay such astronomical sums for what was originally just a penny, the answer lies in the psychology of rarity and the culture of collecting, because collectors view coins as tangible history, and when a coin carries both a mistake and a survival story it becomes irreplaceable, and when irreplaceability meets demand prices explode. And auction records show that in recent years cents from other years with dramatic double dies or off-metal strikes have sold for hundreds of thousands or even over $1 million. So when a 2002 example with extraordinary condition and unique errors surfaces, the bidding can escalate past $2 million, and such sales prove that the market is not only real but thriving. And beyond the monetary aspect, this coin represents the intrigue of human error within a system designed for perfection, because each error cent is like a fingerprint of the minting process gone wrong, capturing a moment where machinery and oversight slipped. And yet rather than being destroyed, these coins escaped into the hands of collectors or ordinary people who later discovered them, and so the legend of the 2002 1-cent grows, and every coin enthusiast dreams of stumbling upon one in circulation, though the chances are astronomically small, but that possibility keeps the hunt alive. And to better appreciate the story, let us also consider how grading and authentication play into value, because not every flawed coin is valuable, and sometimes damage after minting is mistaken for an error. So professional grading services are essential to authenticate true mint errors, and once graded and certified, a 2002 cent with genuine doubling or wrong planchet attributes can confidently enter the marketplace, where its multi-million-dollar valuation is justified. And it is also important to realize that condition matters, because a coin in uncirculated mint state condition with sharp luster and strong strike commands far higher prices than a heavily worn piece. So when error coins survive in pristine condition, the rarity doubles, and this is precisely why some 2002 cents have captured the attention of high-end collectors, because they combine rarity of error with rarity of grade, a combination that is almost unbeatable. And the mystique of such coins also lies in their unpredictability, because errors are not planned and cannot be replicated, meaning no mint set or commemorative issue can mimic the organic rarity of a true error coin. And so the 2002 cent stands as both an accident and a masterpiece, and in the broader context of coin collecting, it teaches us that even the smallest coin in our pockets may carry a story of immense value. And while most 2002 pennies are common zinc-coated pieces worth 1 cent, a select few defy that fate and rise to values exceeding $2 million, transforming the ordinary into extraordinary, and inspiring collectors around the world to look more carefully at their change, because you never know when a doubled date, a clipped edge, or a silver-looking wrong planchet might be hiding among your coins. And this enduring fascination explains why numismatics continues to thrive, because each discovery fuels the imagination of collectors and investors alike. And the 2002 cent exemplifies how rarity is born not of design but of mistake, not of intention but of accident, and yet it is these very accidents that elevate it into legend, making it one of the most valuable Lincoln cents in modern times. And as we close this exploration, remember that the next time you handle a penny, it may not just be a penny but possibly a gateway to history, rarity, and unexpected fortune. And with that, I thank you for joining this deep journey into the world of the 2002 1-cent error coin worth $2 million, a story that proves that sometimes the smallest details carry the greatest value. Last, today's deep exploration into one of the most fascinating discoveries in modern numismatics, where a small and ordinary-looking coin like the 2017 P1 cent has captured the imagination of collectors and investors worldwide by commanding a value as high as $1.3 million, not because of its face value or its intended design, but because of the errors, mistakes, and anomalies that turned what was meant to be a simple penny into a treasure chest of intrigue and fortune. And as we unfold the story of why this coin is so valuable, we must travel through the history of its minting, the uniqueness of its release, the rarity of its errors, and the possibilities that these mistakes open for collectors who dream of uncovering something extraordinary in their change. So let us dive into this journey where we connect minting practices, error types, condition, rarity, and collector psychology into one narrative that shows how the 2017 P1 cent evolved from a humble copper-plated zinc disc into an item of almost mythical worth, starting with the fact that 2017 was the first and only year in the history of United States coinage where the Philadelphia Mint placed its P mint mark on the Lincoln cent, an act of commemoration for the 225th anniversary of the U.S. Mint. And while millions of these coins were produced and most people viewed them as ordinary, within the massive output were certain batches that bore minting errors that defied expectations, such as double dies where inscriptions like Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, or the date itself appeared with doubled or shadowed images due to a misalignment in the die striking process, creating visible anomalies that even casual observers could notice. And those doubled dies instantly set aside certain coins as unique, but that was only the beginning, because other error categories such as off-center strikes where the design failed to land properly on the planchet resulted in dramatic visuals where Lincoln's portrait could be shifted, cropped, or partially missing, which fascinated collectors who value striking errors that display the minting mishap boldly. And then there were die cracks and die breaks that left raised lines, cuds, or lumps of extra metal on the surface of the coin, further differentiating specimens and making them one-of-a-kind pieces, since no two cracks are ever identical. And when these cracks or breaks intersected with important features like Lincoln's face, lettering, or the shield on the reverse side, they added an aesthetic quality that made the coin appear both flawed and artistically remarkable. and in addition to die anomalies, the 2017 p-cents also produced examples of broad strikes where the coin expanded outward beyond its intended rim due to striking without the collar, leading to oversized flans that captured collector attention, and let us not forget misaligned dies, rotated dies, and partial collars, which all contributed to the world of minting errors that can catapult a common cent into a rarity worth thousands. But in some cases, when these errors combined, say a double die with an off-center strike or a die crack with rotation, the results became so unusual that only a handful exist, and rarity is the lifeblood of value in numismatics, so those extraordinary pieces quickly rose in demand. But why would one particular coin reach the astronomical figure of $1.3 million, a price that rivals some of the greatest rarities in coin collecting history? And the answer lies in the perfect storm of condition, provenance, and unique error that make a single 2017 p-cent not only rare but virtually irreplaceable, because while millions of coins left the Philadelphia Mint that year, only a select few bore both dramatic and identifiable errors that captured national attention. And one example discovered in uncirculated mint condition with an exceptionally bold double die paired with an off-center strike and preserved flawlessly in high grade by professional grading services made headlines in the numismatic community, creating a feeding frenzy among elite collectors who recognized that this coin was the first of its kind, the rarest of the rare, and that scarcity and story fused together to push its value to the $1 million mark. And the psychological aspect of coin collecting cannot be overlooked because collectors are driven by both rarity and narrative, and the 2017 p-cent had a unique narrative. It was the only year with the P-Mint mark on a Lincoln cent. It marked the mint's anniversary, and within that historical context emerged an error specimen so dramatic that it redefined modern penny collecting. And when auction houses presented it, bidding wars erupted, with high net worth collectors, museums, and investors eager to own what was hailed as a modern legend. And when the hammer fell at $1.3 million, the 2017 p-cent was forever cemented in history as a symbol of how even the smallest coin could carry immense worth when combined with rarity, error, and context. But the story does not end there, because the possibilities extend to ordinary people too, as countless collectors now search their pocket change for 2017 p-cents in hopes of discovering their own treasure, carefully examining Lincoln's face for doubling, checking the shield on the reverse for cracks, or scrutinizing the rim for off-center misstrikes, because every minor variation carries potential, and while most finds will be minor and worth modest premiums, the thrill of discovery keeps the hunt alive, and stories of people finding coins worth thousands in pocket change add to the cultural fascination with error coins, reinforcing the idea that fortune might be hiding in plain sight. And beyond errors themselves, condition plays a role, as pristine uncirculated coins, especially those graded MS67, MS68, or even higher, become immensely valuable since the Philadelphia Mint coins were mass-produced and circulated heavily. So surviving examples in such grades are scarce, and when those high grades are combined with errors, the value skyrockets, and this is exactly what makes the 2017 P1 cent such a compelling case study in numismatics, because it blends historical significance, mass production, rarity of anomalies, and the collector psychology that drives extreme valuations. And as we reflect on this phenomenon, it becomes clear that the 2017 p-cent's $1.3 million value is not just about a piece of copper-plated zinc, but about the convergence of history, error, narrative, rarity, and human fascination with owning something no one else can. And this convergence makes the story enduring because it fuels both scholarship and excitement as experts continue to debate how many dramatic error specimens might exist and whether future discoveries could rival the famous $1 million piece. But regardless of how many surface, the aura of the first one to sell for $1.3 million will always carry an unmatched mystique, ensuring its place as a legend in American coinage. And so we end with the thought that in the world of coins, every detail matters, every error tells a story, and every ordinary cent carries the hidden possibility of extraordinary value, making the pursuit of these treasures not only a hobby but a journey into history, art, and human desire. And if you enjoyed learning about this incredible 2017 p-cent and the story of how a 1-cent piece became worth $1.3 million, remember to like and subscribe for more fascinating explorations into coins, history, and the secrets of value that might just be hiding in your change right now.